Hi, my name is Harry Itie and welcome to Odejuma. Odejuma is an Ishekiri farewell that loosely translates to till tomorrow. But for me, I look at it as a promise that there is so much more in life to look forward to. And this interview-driven storytelling podcast is rooted in that promise. So as you take the time to listen, I want you to feel that as we go deeper with folks from across the Black diaspora, exploring the adventures, resilience, joy, and the ordinary moments that change their lives, that you would have a good, hearty laugh or you find something to sit with. Because there is power in the stories of everyday people, and these stories are worth telling. Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Odejuma. My name is Harry. I'm super excited about today's show. I have a very talented media personality that I'm about to speak to. But before we dive right in, I want to let y'all know that you can still like this podcast right now. You can like it, you can follow, you can subscribe, you can do all the things while you have the chance before we get into the conversation. So wherever you're listening or watching us from, please use the subscribe button or use the like button so you stay notified when we have new episodes. So like I said before, I'm excited. I got a very multi-talented media personality on the show today. His name is Rian-Louis. Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Hello, Harry. How are you?
I am feeling really good. I'm feeling really great. It's the summer. I love the summer. We've been outside. How has the summer been for you?
It's been busy. It's been fun. It's been I'm in one of the best seasons of my life right now, I think.
Awesome. That is pretty amazing. And like I said, you do really amazing work media-wise.
Thank you.
And so I want the people to know, if for folks who may have not heard of Rian-Louis, who is Rian-Louis? What can you tell the people about who you are, where you came from, how you got your start in the media space, basically?
Absolutely. My name is Rian-Louis. I'm a multiple of things. I am a creative. I am a podcaster. I am a creative director, an MC, writer, event curator, social media manager. I do a lot of different things.
Yeah,
and producer. Like I guess I'm edit my own podcast. So I guess I could put producer on there.
Yes, you are a producer, and it's very interesting. Like I discovered you on social media through your music takes. I think it was on Twitter. That's when I first discovered you. You used to talk about, we had like very similar artists that we kind of liked as well.
Yeah.
And then you started RIAN-OUTLOUD, the podcast, which has gone on to do so many big things as well. So tell me about what made you decide to want to start a podcast at the time when you did.
Yeah. So it was during the pandemic. And backstory, my best friend always said, Ryan, you need to start a podcast. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I love to talk. I love connecting with people. Who's going to listen to me? Like, who is really going to listen to me? What am I going to talk about? It just didn't hit for me at first. So I knew I wanted to do it. And the concept of RIAN-OUTLOUD came to me. The first iteration was called Drinks and Conversation. Like, I just wanted to have friends, family, like we were going to sit at a round table. Well, I had a round table at the time in my apartment and have a signature dish, no format, no nothing. But when I was really like, okay, I'm going to take this seriously. I want my name in the title. Kind of like backing off of like, That's So Raven. Like I wanted Ryan in the mix somewhere. And my grandfather I was at their house. I was working from my grandparents' house and my grandfather stubbed his toe and he said, for crying out loud, he yelled it so loud. And I was like, RIAN-OUTLOUD. First of all, are you okay? Talking to my grandfather, but thank you. And then it just went from there. The first season is very trial and error. Like I was just really just trying to find my footing. I also navigating the uncertainty at the time of the pandemic. So hearing that, you're like, it's very trial and error. But then as Twitter became a comfort for me, Stevie Derrick, another amazing social media person as well, podcaster, all of the things. He retweeted Odejuma on my timeline. And if you're not familiar with Warren, I feel like everybody in our community should know who Warren is. He's an amazing, talented performer. He is as if Prince and Beyonce had a musical child, and just super talented. And he's so particular about his craft, which he should be. And he's just, the world is catching on and will continue to catch on. And I will always speak his name in rooms that I go in. Everywhere I go, I will mention Warren's name. He's amazing. And so, so that's when I knew I wanted to create this podcast specifically to highlight Black LGBTQ plus independent artists, creatives, all of the things, because, we are independent. Well, artists are, well, everybody's independent in our realm, but mostly like independent artists who are putting their work out for free when there's major labels and A&Rs and people watching the hard work that these independent artists are putting into and stealing from them and putting it, onto an artist that's backed by a major label. And I don't think that's fair. I've seen it done too many times. And I was like, well, what if I can create something that gives independent artists, Black LGBTQ plus independent artists, a spotlight?
Yeah, that is pretty cool. You talk about how, okay, it's 2020, right? You create this podcast. You want to showcase Black queer people. What was the reception like to your first iteration of episodes, like your first season, I should say? What was the response like from community? And what made you feel like, okay, this is something that I could do. I could keep pushing. I could keep doing this continuously. Because it's one thing to try something and be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should, host events instead. That kind of thing. But what made you decide, okay, I want to keep doing Ryan Out Loud consistently?
So I received a message at the time. Anchor, creators for Spotify. Now it was called Anchor at first. And on that app, or the original app, you could receive voice notes from listeners. And I received a voice note from a listener all the way in Nigeria. And I was just like, I remember I had my AirPods in and I had tears in my eyes that, wow, somebody way, far away from where I'm at, listening to Ryan Out Loud. And he told me, being where he's from, it is not accepted to be a Black, openly Black queer man. And he found comfort in listening to my voice and Ryan Out Loud, and really found that as a safe space. And I knew from that moment, although I have my weak moments of where I want to just like, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this anymore. But I have those reminders, especially that young man who left me a voice note. I have that reminder embedded in my head when I have those moments where I want to give up. And he really inspired me to continue to keep going. And I'm glad I listened to his voice note. I hope he's well. I pray that he's well wherever he is.
Yeah, I think that's very important with like the work that we do. Sometimes it's like, we're being our own historians, right? I feel like when you're going through life as a Black queer person, there's always the need to put you to the sideline, to erase you. Famous Bayard Rustin, who was doing all the things of the civil rights era. Nobody knew about, like, people knew about him, yes, but he wasn't really celebrated up until like, over the past decade or so. And so it's like what we are doing, what you are doing, what I am doing is we are archiving and we're documenting in real time. We are letting people know about our experiences, and that's what you're doing. And that's how you're affecting the people, because you're curating an amazing list of Black queer artists through your platform. And that is something that, we need and they need, and people can just, Google and go back, and be like, okay, I can go to Ryan Out Loud and check out this, let's see what Duran Bernard, Grammy winner, said on Ryan Out Loud.
That was pre-Grammy, Wonder, that was his Wonderlust era when he came on to Ryan Out Loud. It's one of those surreal things. I'm like, wow, I knew he was going places, but wow, he's amazing. And it was amazing to have him on the podcast. Yeah.
I know, and it's always good to be at the start of someone's journey and know that you were there from the onset. Like I said, our work is very important. What do you feel about, being a curator of Black queer culture? I know that, you live in Pittsburgh and everything, and we'll talk about that in a second. but just on a much more larger perspective, these artists you're speaking to are from around across the country. And so what does that, how does that feel for you to be a curator of Black queer art?
It's something I'm still not coming to terms with. That sounds so like, I don't know. I just don't like that term, but like always taking it in. I'm forever a student. I learn something new from every guest. What I do is just a little part. It is so much bigger than me. It is always about the guest. It is always about their work. It is always the importance of expressing that, there is Rian Out Loud exists because of Black queer creatives, like I wouldn't exist without any of the people that have been amazing people that have been on Rian Out Loud. Like they literally some of my really good, I've had amazing friendships born because of this podcast, like artists that have been on, they text me, "Hey Ryan, I'm working on this. I want your ears on it. Tell me what you think." And I'm like, that makes 21-year-old Ryan that wanted to be an A&R for a record label at the time, very happy. Like, okay, I think you should do this. And also in this current era of seeing of emergence of like openly Black queer artists like Destin Conrad and of course Duran and Lil Nas X, now that he's on a better, I'm glad he is on a better journey now, making his health a priority, and there's so many more and I'm missing, but those, like that are really putting on for us, like on the mainstream platforms. It just keeps adding fuel to what I do.
Yeah.
Hope I answered your question.
No. You did for sure. Take us a little bit back to Ryan before the podcast. What was your life like? Did you always know you wanted to do what you're doing? You talked about wanting to be an A&R for a record label. Did you always? What were your dreams? What was the like growing up as Rian-Louis? And
as Rian-Louis, I grew up as I'm still a fan. I love Raven-Symoné so bad. That is my ideal guest on Rian Out Loud. Like that is my dream guest to have Raven-Symoné. She came into my life. I've always been a fan of hers, but she came into my life with That's So Raven at such a very low point of my life. I had just lost my father about a month prior to That's So Raven premiering, December 2002. Yeah, 2002, I lost my father. And then That's So Raven premiered that next month. So that I was in a very weird limbo of existing, right? 13, losing your father, trying to figure out what is life without your parent, one of your parents. And I was in a mute state. Like I didn't say much unless like I was I really had to speak. And it was Friday, January 17th. And I was sitting home in the living room. My mom was prepping dinner. And That's So Raven was playing back. It premiered and it played back-to-back episodes. I busted out laughing. Mind you, this is the first time my mom probably heard me laugh in a month. And she ran into the living room. She was like, "You okay?" I was watching that. She was like, "Oh my God, that's the Cosby Girl." I was like, "Yeah, she got her own show." And it was history ever since. I fell in love with her music, fell in love with all of her, anything she put out, I supported and bought. And I knew that time I always had this, I used to sing and I wanted to act. And I wanted to do all of the things. Anything Raven did, I wanted to do myself. I wanted to be the male version of Raven-Symoné. And that's really where I saw my life going, and then I just used to check it. I always tell my mom, I say, "You should have Joe Jackson me, like Matthew Knowles me. Like, you knew I had the gift, girl. She didn't force me. She would take me to auditions and I'd be like, "Oh, never mind." She'd be like, "Okay." Didn't really force it on me. I was like, "Girl, if you would have forced it on me, we'd be in a whole different situation, living situation right now, But things happen as it's supposed to. I got into school. I didn't really I did not want to. I finished high school. I did not want to go to college. I just did not see 4 more years. And my mom gave me the speech of, her life and da da da. And I was like, okay, at least I'll go and do 2 more years. So I got my associates in business marketing. However, I had intentions on going to Full Sail after my associates to study music business. However, doing my research, of how the industry shaded one of my absolute favorites, Joanna Lubeck, JoJo, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a part of an industry that really shunned the career of one of my absolute favorites with one of the best voices in the industry. And it shifted. So then I went into a whole different aspect of life. Like I was working in banking for 10 years. And then I started working in the nonprofit sector, which full time, I do still work in the nonprofit sector, but podcasting really came to me. Ryan Out Loud came to me at a very pivotal point in my life. I was a fresh 30-year-old. I was fighting for my life at that time. I was really sick, in and out of the hospital. Not sure what was really wrong. I just couldn't hold any food. My potassium was low. I was going to the cancer center to get iron and potassium pumped into me and stuff like that. And I was really just fighting for my life from October 2019 till about January, and then January 2020. And then that's when the pandemic hit. And I got laid off my job, and I had time to reflect and think of what I wanted to do next. And I wanted my next move to be my best move. And it just literally just took off. That old Ryan led into this new version, a very much confident, a much secure version of myself as I navigate, Ryan Out Loud and a lot of different other endeavors I'm embarking on.
Yeah. What will new Ryan say to young Ryan who had all these dreams? Ryan that is fully formed, that is more confident. What will he say to young Ryan?
I asked that question. No, it's going to be complicated, but it's going to be okay. It's very complicated, but you're going to be okay. In those moments you didn't even think you were going to survive, you're doing just fine. And younger Ryan used to question a lot if my dad would be proud. I was very uncertain that my father was proud of me as a young Ryan, because I lost him at 13. So a lot of things had happened, and damn, he is just not proud of me. But as life has went on, and I don't want to say healed, but grief is always very random. I don't have a lot of low moments like I used to thinking about my father. However, I had a aha grief moment for the first time in years. This past March, I was looking at I received a 40 under 40 award here in Pittsburgh. And I was looking at my plaque, and I just busted out in tears because I was just like, he is proud. He is proud. I have no reason to question if my father is proud of me. I heard people, friends, family, oh, he would be so proud of you. But in that moment of looking at my picture, because I just saw him in that picture that's on my plaque, which was actually sitting right back there. I saw him, and I just knew he was just proud of me. And that, I don't talk about that moment a lot. I think I talked about it in therapy, where I was just it was such a quick but surreal moment where I heard his voice and felt his presence in that moment when I received that award. And that really just boosted something in me that oh, you can't tell me nothing. My dad's proud of me. I got the confirmation from my answer. I got it. I'm okay.
Yes. Yeah. That is amazing to hear. And he's definitely proud of you for sure. Speaking of Pittsburgh and getting an award, you are doing a lot of work when it comes to building spaces for Black queer people in that city. And I find that also so inspiring, and that's, because I feel like our journeys kind of mirror each other in weird ways. I like Raven, you like Raven. I like JoJo, you like JoJo. You're trying to archive these stories of Black creatives. I'm doing the same thing. You are trying to build space in Pittsburgh. I'm trying to build space in Minnesota as well. So I feel like this conversation for me is me just even learning from the stuff that you've been doing. But in Pittsburgh, you've been building spaces for Black queer people. And when people think Black queer culture in America, nobody thinks Pittsburgh, right? But you were also
No,
doing the work very purposefully to make sure that the Black queer people who are in that city have a space to go. How's that journey been like for you so far? And what challenges have you encountered in your journey in towards doing that over there?
it's it's hard. Okay, Black Gay Pittsburgh is we're trying. Let me just say it's hard, but we're trying. The people who get it. People might catch on later. You know, I curated an event that has now changed. I changed the name. It started out as Gaze, Gayzed, which Gaze was created as a call. Like I talked to a lot of different people at a lot of different openly gay spaces here in Pittsburgh who, you know, Black gay men or Black queer, Black LGBTQ plus men just don't feel like I'm tired of coming to these white centered spaces. I would love to have something that is ours. And while I don't have I don't have a location, but I have connections that allow me to utilize a space. And I created Gaze as a response to those who said, there's nothing for Black gay Pittsburgh to do. And not saying that like Black gay men, I should say, because there is Black queer collectives as well, like Most Beautiful is one that I'm actually a part of called the Tag Collective. And we're really trying to reshape what Black gay Pittsburgh, Black queer Pittsburgh looks like. I'm just a small little addition. So created Gaze Volume 1, we had in April. Volume 2, we just had in June at the end of Pride. And now that is being changed and we're elevating, and now Gaze has been transformed into Good Company. Good Company is still the same, very, very same message of what Gaze represents in it. We're just thinking forward, thinking bigger, and we're going to do another event, a Good Company event in September where we'll be celebrating Beyonce's birthday with a Beyonce edition of Good Company. So that will be happening in September. But I just really want to do more than just day parties with Good Company. I really want to, I have a dope team around me, creating a dope team around me. I'm trying to really elevate this and elevate the vision. Yeah. So that's really what, you know, Good Company is coming into formation. Really.
Mm-hmm.
I really see amazing things and even things beyond Pittsburgh, actually. But I want the history books to say Good Company was launched here in Pittsburgh, you know, so that's the goal. It's been a challenge. We had a really nice response this for Volume 2, which gave me more inspiration to just keep pushing. Sometimes I can be a little impatient and I want 50 to 100, 200 people to be at my event. You know, I've curated events. I had a drink release almost 2 years ago, and I had like over 100 people there. And I have successful events. I have flop events, you know, but it doesn't matter because whether I'm emceeing, curating, or whatever, I'm going to make a room of 20 feel like a room of 100. So,
Yeah.
you know, I navigate those spaces very easily. But as a creator, I'm like, sometimes about my mind, I'm like, damn, nobody is coming. What's happening? You know, but it happens. But I feel good about the next chapter of Good Company, formerly Gazed, and Good Company and where it's going, and also combining it with Ryan Out Loud. So a lot of good things are on the horizon.
Yeah, yeah, and I resonate very much with the challenging piece. Is hard to when you're building something. Everybody's like, "Oh, we want more spaces. We want more Black queer spaces," and then
They don't come.
you're building the spaces, and it's like pulling teeth to get the people to show up. But it's part of the work, and I think that as time goes on, as people know the brand and are familiar about the brand, they're gonna want to always come through and show up. Basically. I saw that you did a live, you had a couple of live recordings
Yes.
for your podcast. How's that been so far as well? Because I think that that's something that is pretty big in itself.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, if you'd have asked me 5 years ago that I would be having a live, like, let alone starting Ryan Out Loud, getting in the groove of recording and, you know, all of the things, but to a live podcast was beyond me. I did my first one around my birthday last October. That was amazing. It was at a Black woman-owned distillery, which in Pittsburgh, TLC Libations, which is in Pittsburgh, it's the only Black women-owned distillery in PA in general. So that was a history in itself, being a part of TLC Libations, which I also do curate events for them as well on the side. That first one was special. The second one was really my biggest stage yet. I was in partnership with the August Wilson African American Cultural Center here in Pittsburgh. If you're familiar, you know August Wilson is from Pittsburgh. And, so being a part of that legacy, a little part of that legacy where I was able to provide a space for Black LGBTQ plus, that second one was very much centered around Black LGBTQ plus executive directors in the city of Pittsburgh, really learning about how they navigate, Pittsburgh being a Black LGBTQ plus leader and all of the things in between. And I really, that portion of Ryan Out Loud, the live would not have happened without the support of my collaborator and friend, Dr. CC Calhoun, who works for the August Wilson African American Cultural Center. She was really a big advocate, a part of me hosting their event right after, called Pride and Joy, which was just an amazing, surreal moment. I'm working ahead now, doing my third live edition this October here in Pittsburgh. It'll be back at TLC Libations. That one will be women and women focused. I will have a panel of guests. Every guest will be a woman and that navigate the LGBTQ plus somewhere in those spaces. So that'll be October 17th here in Pittsburgh, back at TLC Libations. So I'm very excited for that.
That is pretty cool. You're doing really amazing work.
Thank you.
As someone who's having these conversations, hosting these podcasts and everything, has there been like a conversation you've had on your podcast, or maybe like at a panel that has changed you, that you still go back to currently or in the past, whenever?
That's a good question. Oh my gosh, a lot of people speak love into me. Every guest has spoken beautiful things to me. I will say specifically, off record, I have formed a really amazing friendship with, his name is Fresh. His artist name is Fresh. If you know him on social media, Mark Fresh, and he is a fucking amazing rapper and just a beautiful person in general. And I think he caught a tweet or something about me, like this time last year, I was like advertising my last season, and he was like, "What the hell do you mean?" He texted me, he was like, what the hell do you mean last season? Like he was telling me, like, you don't understand how much you are needed. And at that time I didn't feel needed. It was a lot of like doubting myself, also being very hard on myself for missing deadlines. I missed the deadline for the Black Queer Summit for GLAAD.
GLAAD, yeah, I missed that one too.
I beat myself up so
I did
bad about that.
Yeah,
I was hard on myself about that, and it took me a while. People that have started after me that surpassed me, which is amazing, but it also just made me, like really reevaluate, like, how am I putting myself out there? How am I navigating? Am I being consistent? Which I'm not always the most consistent person when it comes to podcasting, because in addition to what I do creatively, I have to fuel that. I have to work a 9 to 5, and that 9 to 5 is draining. And sometimes when I'm drained from that 9 to 5, I don't feel the passion in my creative work. And so it really sometimes just combines. In addition with that ADHD of mine, I don't care. I ain't doing it no more. I'm not doing it. Mark really, Fresh really spoke some love into me. And then it trickled down to when I actually did do my live. And I was just like, wow, this is bigger than me. What are you doing, Ryan? Like, keep going. So now I'm navigating a new space of where it's easier for me to put out episodes. Now I have a system where now moving forward, I will do 3 episodes a month. just to kind of give myself some grace to edit and make sure everything is perfect and releasing and having things pre-recorded. So I'm in a better space now. So I have a slew of new episodes coming out over like the rest of the year. Hopefully, that's the goal.
Yeah, and I feel like when we do the work that we do, I think that we need to remind ourselves is that we have built, no matter how small that community, even if it's a community of 10 people, we're building a community of 10 people, right? I
Mm-hmm.
have a Substack that I do for for this particular podcast. And so every episode that comes out, I do like a reflection on the Substack, and I attach the links. So the Apple podcast link, the Spotify link, the YouTube link, and I send it out, right? And sometimes I look at the views on YouTube. I'm like, oh, I wish these views were a lot more. I wish these views were a lot more. And I have to remind myself that I'm doing something, number one, that's very niche. Number
Mm-hmm.
two, I'm doing something that, you know, it's not going to be the most popular. Number three, people are still engaging, right? It's not going to be 1,000 people like you dream about, but the 50 people that are engaging, they're people that always open my Substack. Every time I send something, I see, because you can see the analytics of who is reading your stuff,
You
and
can, yes.
there are people that are always reading it and engaging with the episodes. It's like you're building your community. Yes, it will be a slower build because it's not a very mainstream focus that you have, but
Right.
we're still cultivating our community regardless. So I hold on to that, and I give myself grace as well. And I'm like that. If I can put
Have
out
to.
an episode this week, great, kudos to me. And if I can't put out an episode, nobody's gonna come and yell at me.
Right.
People are gonna get it where they get it, and I feel like that kind of helps. I know that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that there's a need for us to like relax and just, because it's a lot to have a 9 to 5 and then try and put out your podcast and try to make it excellent as also, so you're not just putting out garbage, and so
Yeah,
yeah, I feel you totally, and I resonate with what you're saying and how you're navigating.
you get it.
Would you say you are in a much better place now with how you engage with the pressures that come with your creative
I'm
side?
getting there. I'm
Mm,
getting there. I feel like I'm in a good place, and I'm going to continue to get to a better place with navigating all of these spaces of my life. The goal is to eventually everything to be one. So I'm hoping something really special comes into play where that I will be able to focus more on the content and more on, delivering quality, experiences, listening experiences and stuff like that. So a lot of things are in the works, but I'm in a good place now and going to skyrocket to a better place. So getting there, I should say.
that's good. That is really good. And what do you do for self-care now? How do you take care of yourself, your body, your mind? As the work that you do, you're pouring into people, you're pouring out your gift as well. So how do you take care of yourself?
Listen, on my tough days, on my self care, just look, as Tears it is, right? You'll find me on the couch, watching reruns of That's a Raven, Insecure. I'm a wrestling fan, so I always watch nostalgic wrestling clips on YouTube a lot. X-Men is one of my favorite things. I'm sitting on my comic bin now, actually. It's so funny. But on my hard days when I need to regroup and recollect, I go to my grandparents' house. That is my recharge center. My grandfather is 91. My grandmother is 86. She is battling dementia. Uh, but one of my favorite things to do is to go to lay in bed with her and she rubs my head. It just something about like she rubs. First of all, she's like, "Why'd you cut your hair?" I'm like, "Grandma, it wasn't growing, so I cut it." So she just rubs my head, and that just reminds me that everything that's happening that may seem chaotic or insane is just there's peace in all of this chaos, and that
Mm.
is going to my grandparents' house and bonding with my grandmother is my peace.
That
And
is
my friends
beautiful.
too. Like I can't forget my friends as well. They keep me motivated, and also like I love going to support other creatives as well. I'm very much of like a supporter. Like I will show up if I can absolutely do it. And a lot of people like when they see me, like if I'm supporting a friend, I'm like incognito. I have a hoodie on, or depending on the weather, or I'm in the back, like really just being a fan. And they're like, Ryan out loud's in the house. I'm like, oh my God. Like, but I just want to support. So I find, joy in supporting others and my family and my friends. And yeah, just that's what self-care looks like to me, and music, always listening to music.
Awesome. Awesome. So we have a bunch of rapid fire questions for you before we let you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to it real quick. What are the 3 songs currently on your playlist right now?
Morning Dew, Beyonce.
Okay.
I will say my other song is Still by Kehlani. It's on
Mm-hmm.
rotation. And what also comes up a lot, regardless of how long ago it didn't come out, it came out like a year ago. Ready to Love by JoJo is always on my rotation.
Okay.
So those are 3 songs that I will say right now, like, are heavily on rotation. So
Okay, cool. Because you're a Raven Simone fan or Raven Simone stan, what are your top 3 Raven Simone songs of all time?
Love Me or Leave Me from her self-titled album, Raven Simone, that came out in 2008. I really do love Anti-Love Song. I love What Is Love from her This Is My Time album. And a bonus one, I love her latest off of her most recent project, 33,000 Microdosing.
Those are good ones. And it's so funny, 2 of the songs are from the self-titled album, and like that album deserved so much more. That was such a good album. This is my time. This is my time is a good album. I'm not gonna take away from it. I like What Is Love, like you said. I love Overloved on that
I would love
album.
to
I love Mystify, but I think
Mystify.
that This Is My Time felt like a bunch of songs together, maybe like a soundtrack for like a movie. But but the Raven
Yeah,
Simone album, the self-titled, so cohesive. That was a
so
cohesive
cohesive.
body of work.
I always remember her saying, she didn't want to fit. The label tried to make her fit into a box, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she had a lot more flexibility with This Is My Time, I think, and than she did the self-title. However, you know, she really, because she loves all genres, so you could really hear how all different type of genres was really on This Is My Time, which is not much of a cohesive album, but it still had a story, which I love. Raven Simone was very much more cohesive, very much deserved more. In Your Skin, another favorite of mine.
And
very Janet Jackson coded. What?
In those pictures,
Face 8 down.
Yes, Girl Get It. That would have been a good song with a nice dance number. We deserved.
Yeah.
We really deserved, But I like This Is My Time. The title track is so beautiful. It is. I should use it on a reel. Sometime. You have this thing you do on TikTok. It's called When You Ask Me to Play, right? So we're gonna do When You Ask Me to Play Black Gay Edition. We're gonna do 4 Black gay artists. So when you ask me to play Duran Bernard, what are you playing?
Collide or Sam's Vibe?
Okay. When you ask me to play Lil Nas X, what are you playing?
I like That Is What I Want. That was a favorite of mine. And let's see. Void.
Okay.
Yeah, that I had to think. I was like, I know, I have 2 of them that are on the Ryan Out Loud, Loud and Proud playlist, and those are the 2.
Okay. When you ask me to play Frank Ocean, what are you playing?
Novocaine and Bad Religion.
Okay. When you ask me to play Kehlani, what are you playing?
I'm currently stuck on Still, and oh my God, I just did this one, and I can't even. Forms of You is a favorite of mine. Forms of You, scratch Still, because I said that earlier. Form of You, and I'm going to go back to Getaway.
Okay, cool. When you ask me to play Victoria Monet, what are you playing?
No Good and New Love.
Okay. When you ask me to play Janelle Monet, what are you playing?
Gosh, I really was a fan of Float and Phenomenal.
Okay. I love Phenomenal as well. Okay, final. When you asked me to play Black LGBT edition. When you asked me to play Destin Conrad, what do you play?
Low Tide and Low Tide, and Life is Changing.
Okay. Okay, cool. My next rapid fire question you already answered, but I don't know if you have a different answer for this. One artist you have to have on your podcast. I know you talk about Raven Simone, but is
Yeah,
there?
Raven Simone is a dream guest. Destin Conrad. I would love to have a sit down with Lil Nas X. Also, I really Justin. I don't know if you're familiar. Like
Yeah,
he's been
like Just 10?
Justin. Yes,
Yes, like
that's a goal. It almost happened. It was almost there, and I'm still not going to give up. He's on to amazing things. Actually wrote a story that I only see him being the lead in, and I'm gonna manifest that. So
mhm. The fingers are very crossed. If I
yeah.
visit Pittsburgh, where do I absolutely have to go to? What's the go-to spot in Pittsburgh?
Where I like to go to a spot called Lefties. It's on the north side of Pittsburgh. It's always the beginning. Sometimes you can go there as the beginning, as like the kickoff, the start of the night, the pregame, right? It's a dive bar. They have really cheap drinks. I love that. They have drinks called Strong Islands. My friends hate that I drink these. I get a green apple Strong Island every time I go to Lefties, and they're like, "Ryan, what the hell? Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you drinking the Strong Island? $5, get two of them. I'm where I need to be. We can move on to the night." Sometimes the vibes are just amazing that you can stay there the whole night. And it's a very LGBTQ plus friendly space. Other than that, there's another place called High Side. That is a bar that I go to, and they have the best R&B brunch in the city. I get my tower mimosas, vibe out, and they have really good egg rolls with amazing sauce on the side that needs to be bottled and sold, and I would buy it. So that's where I would take you.
Okay.
We could do the gay establishments later, but I go to them too. I do go to them, but they have really good wings at the gay bar that I go to, 5801. So
something about gay bars and good wings, because there's a gay bar here too that has really great wings. So I'm like, that's very interesting.
I know.
Where is your dream vacation destination?
Bora Bora.
Oh, that's a good one. And finally, what is your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is watching those random fights on like the timeline. I don't watch Bad Boys Club, Bad Boys or
Baddies.
Mm-hmm. But I do get a thrill out of watching the clips.
The girlies fighting on bulldogs.
Listen, and every time I go to Atlanta, I'd be like, and I go to Bulldogs, I'm like, they don't fight when I'm here.
Yeah.
Never fight when I'm here.
I've been a couple because I've been to Atlanta quite a lot, and so I've seen when they fought in Bulldogs, and I've seen when it's been very peaceful. Either ways, it's all vibes. It's all vibes.
Listen, I love going there. I love seeing anywhere I go, like that's not Pittsburgh, and I just see Black gay men. I'm just like, yes. Especially DC's 4 hours for me, so I'm always in DC.
Shout out to DC.
Yeah, we love DC. A good time.
Yeah. My final question, Ryan, before we wrap up. In like 10 years and 15 years, what is your hope for your brand and your work as a culture curator, cultural strategist? Not even just in Pittsburgh, but maybe, across the country. What is your hope for?
My goal is to transition into the background. I want to launch a media empire that dabbles in all of the things. If it's like executive producing television, movies, scripted podcast. I really want to navigate into scripted podcast and create a universe of Black gay stories through through a platform as a scripted podcast. I really want to work with develop artists. I really want to work as a creative director, working with other artists and still curating events and putting on new podcasts and new stylists and new creative, all of the things where I'm just in the background. That's what I want to do. I see a brand, me as in my Issa Rae bag, kind of.
Shout out to that. Shout out to that. I say that for you as well. Well, thank you, Ryan, for coming on Odejuma. This has been such great conversation. We're
Thank
super
you for having
excited
me.
for
You
your
have to come on
journey.
Ryan Out Loud next.
I'm down. I am excited. I would love to, in person or virtual, just whatever it is, we can make it happen.
You make it happen for sure.
Yeah, but thank you so much. I'm going to share information about Ryan on the podcast, everything, so you can check him out, check out his work and follow. And if you've been listening and watching, thank you so much for staying tuned. Make sure you like, subscribe, and do the things. Drop a comment and share it with your friends so that we can keep growing this podcast as well. Thank you so much for watching. Odejuma.